Just talk about love.
My name is John Kirk, and I'm a pop culture writer for popmythology.com, Trekcore, and Back Issue, and I'll be your moderator this afternoon. I'm a little bit intimidated to introduce our guest today, because he really needs no introduction, but I'm going to give it my best shot. The star of Sons of Anarchy, Pacific Rim, Beauty and the Beast, the man's career is amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Ron Perlman.
What's up, motherfuckers?
Well, there's a lot of love in the room here, Ron.
Wait. You think there's love now? This room's gonna be empty in about 10 minutes.
No. Okay, so the problem with talking with you is that you have this huge career. And I've got about 25 minutes to go through it with you. So can we just start at the beginning and just ask how you got started?
Well, it was a cold night in April, 1950. They were still having the Christmas party, and it was April. The doctor who delivered me dropped me on my head, and here I am. Did I go back far enough for you?
So what was your first role?
You mean in high school? Or?
Television, film. Let's begin there.
I mean, I did a lot of theater, so... but the first film was Quest for Fire.
Right.
They put me in a makeup chair, and they just started putting rubber all over my face. Like an hour, put more on, 2 hours. Anyway, after about 4.5 hours, the guy said, "That's enough, put him in the movie."
You've got like such an incredible degree of passion and intensity, and Quest for Fire is one of those roles. It was so primal, you know, and it comes out in your acting. How do you reach that intensity when you approach a character?
You know, first of all, it's just my job to figure out who the guy I'm playing is. I've been very lucky insofar as 99% of the characters that I've played, I've really loved. I've really loved these people that I'm playing. A lot of them are very, very different from me. A lot of them are more similar to me, versions of me that, you know, I would aspire to be, but not, you know, which is why we act, why all of us artists do what we do is so that we can get it right in art what we can't get right in life. So that's why we're actors and writers and directors and musicians and everything like that, because the act of giving a performance, you can get close to perfect, but in life, you're just a fucking mess. And so this is why we keep going back and doing it. But I've loved these guys that I've gotten to play, and gotten to the point where I realized that don't say yes unless you know you can love the person you're playing, because you're going to spend a lot of time doing it, and because you really want to get it right. Otherwise, why bother? So if that translates into intensity, so be it. You know, I would call it enthusiasm. You know, enthusiasm to just play a character that the writer took a long time to imagine and endowed with a lot of interesting qualities that make him worth watching for 2 hours, you know?
So when you look for a character to fall in love with, do you have criteria? Is there some sort of list of attributes that you look for in that character? How do you fall in love?
I mean, tequila really helps. So, And these days, the more the better. I mean, 'cause I'm building up a tolerance to it, so it can't just be one tequila. It has to be, you know. You guys want to start sending me bottles of tequila? That will go a long way toward prolonging my career, okay? You may not want to send me any, you know, judging on. But anyway, what was the fucking question? There was a question.
There was a question, yeah. When you approach a character to fall in love with that character, like you said, is there like a criteria or a list of characteristics?
Well, the first thing when you're reading the script is you have to, for me, you have to fall in love with the world that the character exists in first. So if you're reading the script and you know by page 5, I know exactly what's going to happen 4 minutes from now and 40 minutes after that, because I've read the script a gazillion times, you know, you just close it and move on. If you're involved in a world that's very, very unique and imaginative and you don't know where the writer is taking you, then I'm immediately engaged. Then the next part of it is you're supposed to be looking at the character of Scott. So I get to the character of Scott and I start to see whether I like him. He could be a serial killer, but I could still like him because his wiring, the thing that drives him psychologically is so fucking interesting. It's so compelling. And there's a lot of humanity gone wrong, which is what makes a great bad guy. But the humanity is there nonetheless, and that's why he's worth playing, is because he's worth examining, like, how did this guy get to be this fucked up, you know? And so, by the way, if you brought your kids in here today, I'm really, bad move. I'm just, you know, you probably know by now, but I'm not gonna stop. For any motherfucker. So, what was the question?
That was it. So when we talk about characters like Johnner from Alien and Clarence Marrow and stuff like that, is there some similarity between all of them, or is there like one attribute that they all share?
They're all badass.
There you go.
When I get finished with them, there. Boom. Thanks, man. No, they're all people that I find psychologically interesting. The other thing is that I gotta feel as though I can figure them out enough to play them and be effective. I don't want to play a role that I don't quite understand or that I feel like it. Sometimes I'll read a role and I'll go, this is way better for a whole different actor, and you should be looking for a different actor than me, because I'm not going to be great in this role, and I don't want to do anything unless I feel like I could at least be credible. So that's the second criteria, and then the third one is that I try not to repeat myself. I don't want to play somebody I've already played or anything similar to that. The good news is that there's a lot of great writers out there who have amazing capacity to explore the human condition in a way where you're always finding new psychological weirdnesses out there that make for interesting character work.
Wow. Well, speaking of visionaries, you've got a great friendship with Guillermo del Toro. Can you give us some insight into some Spanish guy, some director or something?
This was his town for a long time.
That's right, yeah.
He has like 27 houses here, I think. Seriously.
And he makes the best chalupas.
And yeah, he has a chalupa stand right around the corner from here. I'm inviting all of you to it afterwards.
So, can you give us some insight?
I recommend the pork. What?
Well, can you give us some insight? The question is, now I've forgotten. Can you give some insight into working with him?
Guillermo is like, first of all, he's half 9-year-old boy, and the other half of him is the most Nobel Prize winning intellectual genius you've ever met, who's read everything and who's absorbed all of the great writings throughout history. And the combination of those two things makes for this wide-eyed innocence juxtaposed against this wisdom of cynicism and what the world can do to you in destroying your naivete and your innocence. And he carries both those things around with him at equal measure. And I feel like, first of all, I feel like, you know, the top 10 movies of all time, Pan's Labyrinth is in that. And I feel as though that movie is quintessentially what I'm trying to describe, what he's able to capture, which is the juxtaposition of this beautiful, innocent little girl who's constantly in discovery mode, and she's untainted and unblemished and just is pure love, juxtaposed against a world of Franco-fascism, you know, during the Spanish Civil War. And so it's this struggle of like what God gives you, what he expects for you to do with these beautiful gifts that he gives you, and then how to navigate them through the real world and preserve some sense of decency and innocence and naivete without having the system completely annihilate all the things that were innately beautiful in you. I mean, I never put it like that before. It's pretty fucking good. But yeah, that's what makes him, he's not like anybody else. What I just described, you cannot assign that. And there's been a tremendous amount of brilliant filmmakers in the last 120 years since the invention of the art form. But you can't describe anybody quite like that. And that's why if he never makes another film, he still will have left behind an amazing body of work.
Wow. So take us to the world of Sons of Anarchy. What is it about that world that you love? Why do you like living in that world?
Well, it was operatic, you know. It was larger than life. It's like where I like my theatrical kind of renderings to be, you know. First of all, right off the bat, the superstructure is based on Hamlet. So you have, you know, the young prince who's just lost his father mysteriously, who was the king. Now he finds that his mother, the queen, has married his father's best friend, and so this guy is now the king. But there seems to be, as they say in the Danish play, something rotten in Denmark. So that's your superstructure. Then he puts the whole thing on Harley Davidsons and creates a motorcycle world, which is incredibly dynamic, very, very, very violent, very anarchistic, making up, you know, their own societal norms and rules and their own way of protecting themselves as a family. So it's like watching opera, and everything is much, much larger than life. Very excessive behavior, very excessive kind of what's at stake with these guys. And that's what makes it fun. Plus the guys who sat around that table are some of my favorite motherfuckers I've ever met along the way. Still real tight with a bunch of them. Tommy Flanagan's here. You'll see him tomorrow. And it was cool. It was a good memory.
So you want to share some of those memories with some of those motherfuckers with us?
Not really. You know, invite them, man. It's about me right now.
Oh, that was a question. At that point, why don't we turn it over to the fans for questions at this point? Do you want to choose or me?
Oh, we don't have microphones?
We don't have microphones. Sorry, guys. Can you shout?
Young lady?
I can't stand up, but I just wanted to know, when you were young, when did your voice change, or did you always have a crazy voice?
My voice changed the night before I was supposed to have my bar mitzvah. And you know, you sing your bar mitzvah, so the whole time I was rehearsing, which was like 6 months in advance, I had this kind of boy soprano voice. And it was such a pure, sweet, very high-pitched voice. I was being scouted by the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. And I'm going to keep telling this story until somebody makes me stop. But out of stage fright, literally the night before I was about to give this thing that I'd rehearsed, my voice started to, and it got to that place where boys' voices change. And so on the day I was supposed to give this performance, I completely fucked it up. And it just kept getting deeper and deeper from there. Then a couple of years later, I discovered scotch and cigars. So this is the result of all of that.
Hi, there are a lot of stories about the mayhem behind the scenes of the island of Dr. Moreau. Could you tell us, were you aware, were you in the maelstrom of that? Were you aware of that?
He's saying that there were a lot of stories about the mayhem in the making of the island of Dr. Moreau. Was I a part of that or aware of that? Yes, and yes, and yes. Yeah, it was a clusterfuck, man. You know, the guy who worked on it for 5 or 6 years, because this was going to be like the 4th movie version of The Island of Dr. Moreau. You know, so there's no reason to keep making a remake unless you can put a new spin on it. And the interesting thing about it is that when H.G. Wells wrote The Island of Dr. Moreau, it was 1895. It was about gene splicing and vivisection and morphing, you know, 2 species into one. And when Richard Stanley came up with the idea of doing this remake and developed it for like 6 or 7 years, we had finally were on the cusp of the technology where that was going to become possible, where you can clone a human out of a test tube. And you know, he goes and starts pitching this thing to people and gets Marlon Brando interested in doing it, and getting Brando, he gets a studio, and then Val Kilmer got him fired after 4 fucking days. We don't know whether there's gonna be a movie. They hire some other guy who's, you know, I'll show remain nameless because he's dead, and I don't want to diss him. But it was a fucking clusterfuck. We should never have made the movie.
Wow.
You know, I wrote a book about my 2 weeks with Marlon Brando, so I did okay. But nah, what a mess. Anyway, sir, back there.
You had mentioned in 2016 your intention to run for U.S. president in 2020. Would you ever want to deal in politics as part of your career at any point in your life?
I'm dealing with it now, man. I mean, look at this. I'm trying to win hearts and minds right now, man. I feel like I'm losing votes every time I speak now, you know.
Stick to the policy, you'll be good.
Huh?
You know, like Medicare for all that, if you stick to that, you'll be good.
I would have been a great president, man. But I'm having such a good time acting, really. I'm at the best part of my career right now. Wait till you see some of the stuff I've done over the last year. Just really cool shit. So I can't be bothered with, you know, all that corruption, all that, you know, people wanting to put money in my pocket just for, you know, making sure that drug prices remain, you know, really high, and you know, that we're killing our environment. But I can really make sure that my next 25 generations of Perlmans never have to work a day in their life. I don't have time for that shit. You know, leave that to people who basically, that floats their boat, and that's all of Congress and all of the White House. The only people who, you know, are actually purely altruistically, patriotically American are the people he's attacking, which are the CIA and the FBI and people who aren't looking for our thanks, aren't looking to line their pockets. They're looking to keep America safe. I'm talking about my country now. I'm not Canadian. So I was running for the American presidency. I wasn't, never intended to replace Justin, by the way. Seems like a nice bloke.
Hey, he's nice, he's nice.
But, you know, I had it all figured out, man. I was gonna be a badass president. But I'm just having too good a time. And there's a lot of people who just like being in politics, and it's just such a ugly, smarmy fucking way to go through life, man. Scumbags everywhere you look. Ugh. You know, what I noticed, though, when I was having my mock presidential run, is I started to actually, you know, imagine myself, like, as every passing day went, and I kept the joke going, I started imagining, and I started getting attacked as if I was actually running. You know, like what would happen if the minute I would say, okay, I'm announcing my candidacy, from that point on, you're a target, man. They're gonna come after your, you know, how many affairs you've had, you know, if you winked at a guy while you're waiting to go into the men's bathroom on an airplane. I mean, they're gonna pull shit on you that's like, you know, you gotta be ready for that. So, here's the fucking thing, man. And if nobody tells you anything more than this is the fucking thing. No matter how altruistic you were when you decided to run, if you hang in there long enough to actually get elected for something, they've put you through so much shit you're no longer human. So that by the time you get to do what you're gonna do, you're ready to have your palm greased, you're ready to have somebody stick a hot poker up your ass, you're ready for, like, what deal do I have to make to just not ever have to go through this again? And that's it. It's the most corrupting thing you could ever imagine. It's very hard to maintain your idealism, you know, in a dirty, dirty game. And that's who we rely on to keep us safe and to keep us, you know, like, have something to look up to. Come on, shit. I'd much rather be an actor. I'm not hurting anybody. Wow. That was fucking deep. Yeah. The lady in the really pretty scarf on the aisle there.
To switch gears a little, you've been married to Opal for, well, you've been with her for over 40 years, and you've managed in Hollywood to maintain your relationship with her and have a really wonderful relationship with two great kids. What advice would you give young actors, or even a young generation, of what it's going to take to do what you've done?
To stay married, you mean?
Relationship that's intact with your children and your wife. I'm assuming your relationship.
That's deep.
Well, I can't speak for women, I can only speak for men, but it's essential that you learn the following phrase. You know, honey, you are so right. Would all the men in the audience please stand up? Repeat after me. Put your hand up in the air. Baby, you are so right. And I don't give a fuck how wrong she is. You just learn how to say that, you can stay married.
That's brilliant.
Yes, young lady. Yes.
If you could star in a movie that was made before you were born, what movie would it be, and what character would you play?
I mean, there are so many. I mean, I am a real movie freak, and I have a list of things that, God, I wish I'd said that. I wish I got to play that. Elmer Gantry, which won Burt Lancaster his one and only Oscar. It's based on Sinclair Lewis, which is a great American author who wrote Babbitt. And man, that motherfucker was, you talk about theatrical. You didn't know whether he was a preacher. He was, you know, like in the Big Tent, evangelists. where people come in, you know, and they, you know, like, he was one of those guys. And you didn't know whether he was completely full of shit or touched by God, because he was both. And I'd like to play that. I'd like to have played that. Who else? Sir?
Yeah, what was your favorite thing or least favorite thing about playing Hellboy?
Lunch.
Lunch.
You know, you have rubber lips, like, you know, and you know, if you get tomato sauce on them, they start to like lift up and dissolve. So you have to eat like this. And you know, just because it's terrible you've already spent 5 hours in the chair. You don't want to spend another 2 hours fixing your lip that just dissolved from the fucking bolognese sauce that you had. So yeah, lunch was my least favorite part of Hellboy. Yes, over there, sir. Stop looking around, it's you. Yeah, see? With the red phone. I'd rather not say.
Good enough.
You know, I'm sure there's a lot of people who's, you know, have mouths to feed. Why should I ruin it for them? Yes, sir. See, everybody looks around when I pick on you. Yeah, you.
We're nice people.
It's true what they say about Canada, man. You guys are so, it couldn't possibly be me. Well, Enemy at the Gates, he's asking about, yeah, we filmed it in East Germany, just after the wall came down. So East Germany was still recovering from all of these 45 years of being occupied by the Russians. It's Jean-Jacques Annaud. It was my third film for Jean-Jacques. Jean-Jacques gave me my very first job in movies, which is Quest for Fire. Then I did Name of the Rose with him. And then we did Enemy at the Gates. So it was very, very special memory to work with my dear friend who he always kept giving me roles after 2 years of my phone not ringing. So he actually saved my life on 3 separate occasions. And he didn't realize he did. He just did. I was like ready to give up acting. I couldn't pay my rent. And Jean-Jacques would come out of nowhere and ride in and hand me these amazing roles in these great films. So Enemy at the Gates is a movie that I'm incredibly proud of. I think it's a phenomenal war story, highly underrated, never got the attention it deserved, and loved working with Jude, loved working with Ed Harris, Rachel Weisz, Joseph Fiennes. Just a fantastic experience. Sir, yes, ma'am, whatever. I can't tell. I don't have my glasses on. Can you speak a little louder? Yeah? Why do I do a lot of voiceover acting? Slade on Teen Titans. Why do I do a lot of voiceover acting, and how do I like playing Slade? I love playing Slade. The director was Andrea Romano, one of my favorite people to work with.
Then it was Clayface. Clayface was amazing.
Clayface was also Andrea Romano. She's the one who started me off she gave me my very first role in animated TV. And it came at a time where I wasn't getting a lot of work in legit movies or TV. So I had very little income coming in, and I just, for a while there, what sustained me was doing a lot of cartoon voices. And now I'm just so grateful for the fact that that was so good to me. Huh? Do I watch? I haven't seen any of my stuff. But I'm really grateful that, you know, that I got a chance to sustain myself as an actor doing it and work with some really talented people. I'm not a big fan of watching my movies or my TV shows, so I'd rather just do it and get on with it and do the next thing. Over there. Yeah, you.
What's the toughest role you've ever had?
Well, Quest for Fire, we were barefoot up to here. In late November in Scotland, walking on volcanic ash and through frozen streams and climbing trees and for 3 weeks. And then we moved to Africa and we were walking on 110-degree surfaces where you could actually put an egg on the ground and say, "Here's your fried egg, sir." Barefoot. And we were never comfortable in that movie, and that movie took almost a year to shoot because it had delays, it had stops and starts to it. Never, ever more uncomfortable on a film than on that one. And it was my first film, so it was like, welcome to the movie business. And I said, is this what it's going to be like? Because this shit is, I swear I've seen actors on film with shoes on. That's got to be an option, right? Like, you know, what the fuck is going on here? Whoever laughed, could you please stand up? I need to see. I had picked on somebody, then you. Can the person I just picked remember who they were?
Good enough.
Cronos, there's a scene where you stick your gum wrapper in Federico Lupi's pocket. I was wondering, did Del Toro lay that out, or was that wasn't an ad lib, was it?
I can't remember. That might have been. It sounds like me, though. Sounds like something a real asshole would do. So. That's Del Toro. Oh yeah, you're talking about when he's lying in the coffin. Yeah, that was all Del Toro, putting my gum wrapper in his pocket, yeah. Yeah, Del Toro, it turns out, the reason why him and me are like bros is because he's the only one that thinks sicker or twisted shit than me.
Ron, why don't you do this? Hold his nose.
So I'm holding his nose, he goes,
No, you need to hold it longer. You need to make sure he's dead.
so, okay.
Also, you know your gum that you have, you take it out and put it in the wrapper, stick it in his fucking pocket. Fuck you.
Thank you. She's saying if I had a futuristic role in a futuristic movie, she thinks I'd be really good. Don't be too sure, okay?
Between Sons of Anarchy and Mayans MC, if Kurt Sutter ever chooses to do the first 9, like a prequel to the first 9, Clay and John and all the group that created the motorcycle club back in the 60s, would you like to be involved in any capacity? And also, if you could pick an actor to play a young Clay, who would you pick?
Well, first of all, the first 9 would imply that they're all in their 20s. I'll be in my 80s by the time they get this fucking thing going, okay? So that would preclude me from being in it. And I wouldn't want to be in it unless, it was all about me anyway. Because I'm a pretty egotistical guy. Who would I want to see play myself younger? My own son, except he refused to be an actor. He's a musician. He's a hell of an actor, but he just won't do it. It's not for me, Dad. I won't say what he says after that, but. Yes, you, sir.
So you introduced.
Which thing?
Yeah, you. And then you. I don't want to be unfair.
The question is, what is your advice for aspiring
Voice acting is very hard to break into because it's so easy and you get paid for doing nothing. You don't even have to wear fucking pants. So every motherfucker wants to be a voice actor. It's really hard to break into. I don't have any advice except make a tape, show your versatility, send it out to everybody who's an agent and hope for the best and keep doing it over and over again until somebody says, oh yeah, I can see. Because they have to believe you can book work, you know, in order to be interested in you. But that's the way to do it, I think.
So you introduced me to the strain through your audiobook narration. How close were you in getting involved with the TV series?
I was unavailable because I was doing Sons when Guillermo was casting the strain. So it was not even a discussion because I couldn't do it, you know, even if he wanted me to.
I read you were supposed to have been the rat catcher. It was written for you?
Yeah. But no.
In 2012, you did a Make-A-Wish for kids and you dressed up as Hellboy again. That was super cool. I just wanted you to just talk about that experience and what it feels like.
Well, yeah, I mean, Mike Mignola, genius makeup artist, and he designed a lot of stuff on Blade too. That's how I met him. And then he designed a lot of the ancillary characters on Hellboy 1, and then on Hellboy 2, he became the new designer of the Hellboy makeup, you know, upgrading it, and also applied it onto me every day, which is something that he doesn't normally do. He runs his own shop. But as a favor to Guillermo, he became my personal makeup artist. So we became like bros. I mean, we were just together like 20 hours a day for 7 months. I get a call from him one day, and he says, we got to make a wish, just got off the phone with me, and there's a kid who wants to meet Hellboy. And I go, fuck yeah, let's make it happen. He goes, well, before you answer, I don't think you understand. He doesn't want to meet Ron. I said, are you saying, he says, yeah, I'm saying, you know, you got to sit in the chair. And I said, well, dude, you're the one doing all the work. I'm just sitting in the chair. I said, how do you feel? He goes, I'm down if you're down. I said, I'm down. So we set it up. And
My kid was a Make-A-Wish kid.
yeah, and I'd done a lot of work with Make-A-Wish when I was on Beauty and the Beast. It's just such an amazing organization. It's just, you know, the people who have access to it are very blessed, and heartbreaking stories, and it's just such a pure way of giving. What happened was we were going to all do it at Mike's shop. There was no press invited. There was no public invited. It was going to be a very kind of a private thing. But all of Mike's staff came. They all helped get me ready and stuff. And then, you know, we got like 150 burgers and shakes and gave this kid this great picnic. And some of Mike's guys started taking photographs of us, you know, together and posting them on, you know, whatever, Facebook, and it went viral. And so it wasn't supposed to ever reach the public, but it was the most viral thing I was ever involved in, which was something that wasn't supposed to be public at all. So that's how you know about it, you know. But yeah. By the way, the good news is the last I heard, the kid was dying of leukemia, and he's in remission, and he's. Over there. Yes.
As a follow-up for the voice acting question, do you have any memories for when you voiced Mr. Lancer and Danny Phantom and Sheep Alba in the Book of Life?
Those are two that I actually remember, unlike all the others. But yeah, Mr. Lancer was like, Holy miserable. You know, he was the one that quoted classic book titles when he was cursing. Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun gig. And Guillermo produced Book of Life for Jorge Gutierrez, who created Book of Life. And so that's how I got the role of Xibalba, and that was a really fun gig. Beautiful movie. Very, very happy with both those projects.
I think we have time for one more question.
In the back over there? Which game? Myself? Did I play myself? Was it? No, I think it was a guy who was like so badass you just assumed he was wrong. Oh, he's playing himself now. Which is, you know, it comes around. You know, it goes around, it comes around. It's like, and that's a great last question, too.
It is. So I think...
Art imitating life, imitating art, imitating...
So I think we're going to wrap it up there. And I think, Ron, you are going to be here today only, is that correct? And so, folks, if you really want to see Ron, he's at his table. I would take advantage of that if I were
Heading back to my table now. Meanwhile, this was a great Q&A, and I love this city. I always have. We shot Pacific Rim here. I've been here many, many months at a time, working on other projects, and I love your restaurants. I really love your bars. I really love. I'm supporting a lot of your bartenders personally, and so thank you for having me.
Thank you, and give it up for Ron Perlman, please.